McMinnville. We'll swing it over to our partner in crime, Joe Stuart, there on the sidelines. Joe, how are we doing?
Thanks, guys. I'm doing terrific. It has turned out to be a pretty solid day compared to what we thought we were going to have coming into this weekend weather-wise. And I'll tell you what, the fans are here, the recruits are here, the alumni are here. Everybody's excited for homecoming today. And finally, the home opener, of course, as Dave talked about, one of the latest home openers in Wildcat history. Earlier today, I got a chance to talk to Dwayne Dewey, head athletic trainer. He got me updated on the major injuries for the Wildcats right now. Unfortunately, 2 guys in the trenches will not be playing for the Wildcats today. Of course, we all know about Zach Jacobs, the starting center, went down in week 1. They're still considering him week to week, but will not be playing today. Zach Russell, one of the key players on special teams this year, the backup sophomore running back who has really been a leader on kickoffs for Linfield. He suffered a torso injury last week, and he will be out today as well. The good news, though, Kyle Davis, who suffered a shoulder injury during the last 5 minutes of the Pacific game last week, he's good to go, even though questionable on Monday and Tuesday. He's feeling good, feeling right. Hey, we might even see another pick from him. Back up to you guys.
Just about ready to kick off the third quarter. We'll swing it over to our partner in crime, Joe Stewart, who got a chance to talk to linebackers coach Phil Rombach. Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Graham. I did get a chance to talk to Coach Rombach about the defense and his specific group, the linebackers. He said it was one of the most Linfield football coaches answers I've ever heard. We've done some good things, but we, of course, have got some things we can do better. And that's in the middle of a 42-0 shutout. This defense pitching their first shutout of the season, potentially, if they can keep it rolling. And that's been headlined by Brian Pullman, of course, one of the lead linebackers for the Wildcats. 7 tackles today and a tackle for loss. And how about in the secondary? It's been the sophomore safety, Dylan Ramsayer-Burdett, with 6 tackles. And, of course, that monster hit on Jordan Jenkins that got a non-targeting call against it, as well as Brady Wessel and Tyler Sitton also making big contributions for Phil Rombach, Jackson Vaughn, and the rest of this defensive coaching staff today.
Yeah, Dave, Dustin Ramsayer-Burdett really has. But now we will kick it down to the field to the third man of our crew, Joe Stewart, here with Tony Krause.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks, Dave. Well, yeah, I'm down here with defensive end Tony Krause. Tony, a big win here in the rivalry game over George Fox. And for this defense, you know, George Fox had kind of been able to find some seams there through the first half, but you guys were able to come out in the second and keep them almost at a shutout there through the last 2 quarters until they would be able to piece that drive together at the end. What changes did you guys make at halftime to come out and clean it up in the second?
I think it's what we do every week. We just kind of go in there and find out where they're getting yards and where they're not getting yards and what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, and we try to work to our advantage. And so I think we game planned them, and we came out and we executed that game plan, our adjustments, and so we executed it, and I think we held them to 17. I think we should have held them to a lot less, but we'll get better. I think the adversity that we faced last week and this week will only help us in the playoffs. So I think it was good. It was a good game. It was a fun game. It was competitive.
And for you individually, a monster day today, 7 tackles, 2 sacks. Why do you think you were so locked in? Do you think were you just taking what the defense or what the O-line was giving you, or what do you think the reason was you were able to really get it going?
I just think we game planned really well. And so in some formations we knew what they were doing, and so I just kind of took advantage of that. And just the way their tackles were setting us at the ends, it was kind of a foot race for us. And so we just kind of, on the sideline, we were just like, hey, let's just make it a competition and see who can beat the other guy to the quarterback. So we just kind of ran and we just kind of went with it. And it's like my last game here at the Cat Dome. Most likely we'll see what the playoff, how the D3 lines us up, but we'll see. But I just think it was just leave it out on the field and just keep going.
Well, definitely, of course, and this being your senior year and now going back to the postseason, let's talk about the postseason a little bit. What's the mindset like now that you know that you've clinched, projected to go on the road down to the SIAC, playing one of those 2 teams likely, but what's the mindset for this team going back to the postseason after a year out?
Got to get better and take it like one step at a time and kind of don't think ahead, and we got to focus on the task at hand, and each player has to kind of do what they're good at, and they got to find where their niche is and kind of like what is going to better this team in the playoffs. For guys that are on the travel roster, they got to step up. And I just think in practice it's got to be a big week. We got to get our game plans down, adjust. We only have like a week, and we don't play the California schools that often. I mean, we played Redlands, so we'll see if we get them again. Hopefully we do, and we're ready to go after it and just get better each day and see what happens on Saturday. Just attack it.
And then finally, our color commentator, Dave Hansen, always likes me to ask about your future. So what's your academic major and what are you planning to do after graduation this year?
I'm going to I'm graduating with a business management degree, and I'm going to go back and get my EMT, probably paramedics, and get in like firefighting. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's the plan.
There you go. Well, Tony Kraus taking lives on the field today. He'll be saving lives in the future. Back up to you guys in the studio.
Joe, that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful there.
Whitworth, absolute thriller, but the 3-2 victory coming out in favor of your guys. Then that match saw 5 different players score between the two teams, 3 different lead changes. What do you learn about your team's resiliency with having to take the lead and then get it back and draw it up and then take the lead again, and just how up and down that match was?
Well, the big takeaway for that game for us is that we don't ever lose games. We just run out of time, right? And so for the girls to show that when we did go down, that they were able to stay resilient and continue to do what we're trying to do. And so I was so proud of them for that. And I told them that after the game. It's easy to when you get down to really not come out of it. And so the girls did come out of it a couple times. But at the same time, we saw the goals against our byproduct of what we need to improve on. And so the good news is that those things are in our control. We need to get better to improve those things. But, sometimes, you get those games that are up and down. And I'm sure it was exciting for the neutrals to watch the fans. All those lead changes and goals, and that's great. But for us, we want to be able to put teams away and minimize how many times we give them chances to score.
Well, let's look ahead to this upcoming weekend. You play your first road match it'll be 3 weeks at that point, and it's a doozy against Pacific Lutheran. The Lutes are having another great season. They've won every home match and every conference match. They play again tonight against Puget Sound, and they've only allowed 3 goals all season long. But last year, Linfield played PLU as well as near anybody in the conference, drawing 1-1 in Tacoma, and then unfortunately losing 1-0 here at home. What are some points of emphasis going into this match against one of the toughest opponents you'll face all year on their home pitch?
Yeah, first of all, do what we do better. So it's going to be about us. We need to do what we do. We just have to do it better. Against certain opponents, the margin for error is going to be different. And certainly with PLU, and they're super well coached and well drilled. And Seth Spadal's got that group of girls for the last 2 to 3 years, being very consistent in how they play. So it's not a surprise to me where they're at right now. They're just a wonderful team. All that means to us is that the margin is going to be smaller, which is fine, but we're going to still go out. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to try to win the ball game, and we'll see where it lands. And so the good news is that we don't want to feel that we have to make so many different adjustments with opponents that we can't control our own destination. So it'll be a great game. I love these type of games because it really shows us where we're at. We want to see where we're at, and we don't want to go out and try to survive these games. We want to try to win the games. And now at the end of the day, if the game turns and we're having to close it out with a little survival tactic, that happens sometimes, but our intention is not to do that. So we'll take a tough road trip to Tacoma. We'll try to improve what we need to improve on, and it's great when you're going against a team that is feeling it right now, because that way you get a true measure of where you're at. So I'm excited about that.
Definitely. And then on Sunday, returning home against George Fox, of course, the longtime cross-county rivalry right there. But Linfield's been doing pretty well in that rivalry recently. Haven't lost to them since 2009 and haven't lost at home since 2008. In pretty much every Linfield versus George Fox sporting event I've ever covered or watched, it is so clear how badly both sides want to win those matches. Do you think that there will be a little bit of a extra mental edge that your players will be playing with, especially homecoming weekend? The crowd will be alive and full, I'm sure, and against one of the longtime rivals.
Well, I'm thankful you didn't put any pressure on me right there, but I wasn't aware of those stats. But again, at the same time, don't get held hostage by past results, because the next game's the next game. And both teams will get up for each other. in every sport. We've seen it in every sport, and they're a passionate bunch. They're very organized, and it's another Linfield George Fox wonderful rivalry, and we're going to do what we do and try to do it better. I think the funky thing for both teams is that you're coming off that Saturday, and then now you're flipping around. For us, we're flipping around from
the road trip back there.
Exactly. So I'm curious to see how we respond, and how we react to that transition from Saturday to Sunday in this manner. It's one thing to be at home, or if you're on the road and you're in the same city, that's different. But it'll be interesting how we'll handle that. But the girls that have returned, they've already done this before.
Right.
It's just me. I haven't done this before. So they should be able to handle it. But it'll be another great affair. And like you said, you got homecoming, and there's a lot of things that are going on. And so another fun opportunity against George Fox for sure.
Well, that'll pretty much do it for us with this week's Linfield College Women's Soccer Coaches Report. Coach, thanks for taking the time, as always. Always great to see you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
The Wildcats continue their Northwest Conference campaign this weekend against the three-time defending conference champs PLU on the road on Saturday, and then back home for the rivalry match against the George Fox Bruins. That match starting at noon, and of course we'll have live coverage on the Linfield Sports Network starting at 11:40. Thanks for joining us. A lot of guys had great individual seasons this year, statistically, or just as you said, in the way that they improved their games. But Dempsey Rogenbuck had the best of all of them, garnering first team All Northwest Conference honors, and then being the first Wildcat since 2012 to be named to the D3Hoops.com All Region team. What has stood out to you about his development as he has just gotten better and more talented as a scorer, but in other parts of his game here over the last season?
Well, I was for Dempsey this year. There's no doubt he was so much more complete. He was a better passer, a better playmaker, a better rebounder, better defender. He did a lot of things that he made the assist to the assist a lot of times, sure, which is the most important play that doesn't go on the stat sheet, but without it, that assist never occurs. And he did a lot more things like that to impact the game. And I think he was really open to that and understood that that's what it was going to take for our team to be better, and also for him to just, have impact. He wants to win. Dempsey, first and foremost, he's a great teammate and a fierce competitor, and he's dedicated to, helping his teammates and our team become the best we can be. And I think I've been really proud of what he's done to become more complete in his game. And I don't think he's done. I think there's more room between now and next year for him to – I think he's that good. I think he's that capable. And we have a lot of other guys that way too that are on that growth curve. But, Dempsey's such an elite scorer and really gamer in some ways that, he just does some exceptional things that you can't coach. But when he puts it together, I think, and as he's understood the importance of making everyone around him better, it's made him better as well.
You're graduating 4 seniors this year who have been massive parts of the program on and off the court. You've talked about them a lot, but just real quick, what have Tanner Antencio, Aiden Fizzackerly, Grant Gibb, and Austin Hilton meant to this program, and how have they helped usher it into now a championship contending era?
Tremendous. I mean, honestly, tremendous. I mean, I love those guys. Every one of them's given heart and soul to our program. No one of them is more or less important than the other. They may have played varying degrees or had different stats or different roles, et cetera. But in terms of their role and impact, all of them are like top shelf. Couldn't be any better. They unbelievable guys. The way they treat their teammates, and this is the way we want to have it in our program and aspire to have it in our program, is have the legacy of our seniors to pay forward. There's no condescension. There's no grouping. There's no clique. We don't have that stuff. I mean, we have our seniors were servants to our younger guys. They took the freshmen in and made them feel welcome and did a fabulous job of that all season. They were the models of how to handle that adversity. I think they weren't afraid to make themselves vulnerable to the group, which is a critical component, I think, to growth and also to paying forward of maturity a wisdom of sorts to your younger players about what's possible when you open your heart up to something bigger than yourself.
Looking ahead, how do you and the returning players build on this season and make another run at another championship next year? How do you keep that same unfinished business mindset that they had this season?
Well, I think what you have is this is what you want in your program. We've got a bunch of young players. You know, we've got a handful of guys that have now been there and understand what it is and you know how hard you have to work and how determined in your habits. I think we have a really healthy group of returners that all have a chance to contribute and play, and they really have a sense of, you know, how good you have to be to win at that level. So just the exposure and understanding what it can do for you. And it's not so much, it really isn't the winning, it's how you go about it. And so I think that there's a maturity, I think, in wisdom when you have a continuity in a program that gets paid forward and it builds itself. And I think that kind of momentum, it stays with you. And it's part of why you see so many teams that end up winning consistently at high levels. Yes, they're recruiting well and getting great players and those things, but there's also that kind of expectation and wisdom of winning gets paid forward through the generations of your program. And we've had excellent continuity and guys, a lot of talented guys upcoming in our program. And, you know, and of course I talk to them every week. We're Zooming it once a week and doing things like that to try to stay in touch and, you know, kind of also fuel the fire a little bit and stay excited.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time, Coach. I hope everybody in your house is staying safe. I hope all your players are staying safe and everybody's able to stay strong mentally here, and hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your quarantine and we're able to be back on campus next fall.
Likewise, I can't wait. Really miss seeing everybody around campus, and, you know, Linfield's so extraordinary in many ways, and in particular in the spring. And all kids on campus, I think, have a little pep in their step and sparkle in their eye and eagerness about them. And I really miss that kind of vibrancy of campus, and we hope to reclaim that soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Be sure to keep checking in on the Linfield Athletics website and on all our social channels for more great content with and about our coaches, players, and awesome Linfield teams.